Hello wonderful people, it's Wild here. Today I'll be showing you how to build this adorable pumpkin cottage. This cozy build is perfect for a fall or autumn inspired world or anywhere where you'd like a build that's a little bit magical. Let's get building. The materials you'll need for this build are on your screen now. Keep in mind you'll want to have a few extra of the orange blocks on hand, that way we can easily connect the pumpkin up to the house later on. Here is the outline for today's build. You can see there is a circle marked in at the top for our pumpkin, and then there is the house towards the bottom right hand, and there's a gap left there for the door. Keep in mind that the pumpkin will build out 3 blocks from either side of that circle there, so you'll need to allow some room. We're going to begin our build by working on the pumpkin here, so you'll need orange concrete powder, wool and concrete. I'm going to start by placing in my concrete in groups of 2 spaced 1 block apart like this, and then I'm going to connect up the rest of this circle with some orange wool. Once I've got a circle that looks like this, I'll fill the whole thing in with some more orange wool to create a base for the pumpkin. Just like that. You'll also need some placeholder blocks as we start curving out the side of the pumpkin. I'm just using some dirt. I'm going to start by placing one on top of this orange block here, and then come 2 concrete to that side, 2 wool, and then 1 more orange concrete. So you should have a strip of 5 blocks. And I'll do this on each side. So you want to be choosing the one on the left hand side each time. Just like that. Now to connect it up, I'm going to fill in these corners with some orange wool. And I can break my placeholder blocks. So here's how the next layer should look, and you'll notice that it's going to look the same from whatever side you look from. So you can always check that you're doing it right by looking at the other sides of the pumpkin. Okay, let's move up a layer. Once again, we'll need some dirt, and I'm going to start by placing it on top of this concrete block here. Then I'll place in a concrete, 2 orange wool, and then 2 more concrete. And I'll do this on each side. What we're doing as we go around here is we're creating the defined shape of the pumpkin by using shading and colors. Okay, so now that we've got those sides in, we need to connect them up. So I'm going to start where we've got these 2 concrete here, and you can use a placeholder block. I'm just breaking and placing as I go, and I've got an orange concrete, then an orange wool, and then from this side again I'll have an orange concrete and an orange wool. And I'll break my placeholder blocks. So here's how it should look from above. For our next layer, I'm going to start with some orange concrete, and I'm going to build out 2 on either side of this 5 wide section. Like that. Then I'm going to use my placeholder block to come forward, and I'm placing it on top of this orange wool here, and I'm going to place an orange concrete and then 2 orange wool. If you're enjoying today's tutorial and would like to see more like it, please consider subscribing. It really helps me out, and I'd love to have you part of my community. So we've got this so far. Now we need to fill in the corners, and for this I'm just going to build on top of here with an orange concrete and then 2 wool. Orange concrete, 2 wool. And you can see that I am keeping it to the same side each time. Here's how it should look. Now if you don't get your blocks in quite the same order I do, that's totally okay, as long as when you take a step back you're happy with how your patterning is looking. That's all that matters. For this next layer we're going to be adding in some windows, so you'll need some orange stained glass. I'm going to place these in first by building 2 up on the center block of these 3 long sections. We should have 4 windows in total. Now I'm going to come either side of these. So to the left hand side I'm going to place an orange concrete powder, and then to the right hand side I'll place an orange wool. Like that. Then I'm going to build out an orange concrete from each of these blocks. Now we want to start connecting up the corners. So what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to place an orange concrete, then a wool, from both sides, and then an orange concrete powder on the corner. Here's how it'll look from above. And you can really see the shading of the pumpkin starting to come together now. As we get towards the top of our pumpkin where we'll be curving in, we'll be needing to use some acacia slabs so we can place in our falling block concrete powder. You can use any slabs, but I like the orange color of these. Alright, for the next layer, I'm going to start on the left hand side of our glass by placing in 3 of the orange concrete like this. And then I'm going to come to the right hand side with 2 orange wool and then 1 orange concrete. And we're creating our window frame here. Now for the corners, I'm going to come to this left hand side to fill in this part first, and I'll be going orange concrete powder, orange wool, and then an orange concrete, so it should connect up. And you can continue rotating around from the left hand side, filling this in. Orange concrete powder, orange wool, orange concrete. And you should connect up all the way around. Now I'm going to grab my acacia slabs, and I'm going to be putting these in the corners of each of the joins. So you can see I've got all my acacia slabs in now. For our next layer, we're going to build on top of the windows using some orange concrete and then 2 orange concrete powder, like that. I find it a lot easier when working on a build like this to break it down into sections, which is why we'll be rotating around the pumpkin a whole lot while we're building this. Now that we've got that first grouping in, I'm going to come to either side, placing it on top of this acacia slab and placing in 2 orange concrete. Just like that. Now we need to fill in these little corners, and for that I'm coming to the right hand side first with an orange wool, an orange concrete powder, and then an orange concrete. And make sure you rotate the same way around each time, so orange wool, orange concrete powder, orange concrete. Rotating around to my right, wool, concrete powder, concrete. And last one here. It can be easy to get muddled with all the different oranges, so make sure you take your time doing this step. Okay, and now I'm going to place in some more acacia slabs, and this time I'm just going all the way around the edge. Onto the next layer, we're really starting to curve the pumpkin in now. I'm going to start on this left hand block and place a concrete block, then a orange wool and then a concrete powder, and do this on each of the sides. And now we need to start filling in these corners. So I'm going to come to the left hand side first with an orange concrete, then I'll have 2 concrete powder, Coming back, I'll have 2 orange wool, and then I'll fill in the last bit with some more concrete, so it should look like that. I'm going to rotate around 90 degrees to the left and do the same thing. So it's looking like this. Then I'm going to take my acacia slabs and I'm going to fill in across here and then all the way across that side on each of the sides of the pumpkin. And then I'll fill in the corners as well. So it should look like that from above. For this next layer, I'm going to start by finding this orange wool here and then placing a little L shape to the side of it like this, and then an orange concrete powder to fill in the gap. Then to the left hand side, I'll place another little L shape, this time out of concrete, and I'm going to do this on each of the sides. Like this. Then I'll come to the right hand side and place in 2 orange concrete and fill in this gap with a concrete powder. Like that. Now to fill in these corners, I'm going to start coming off of this concrete powder here, placing in 1 more, and then I'm going to create another little L shape out of wool. So it looks like that. I'll fill in the whole top section here with some acacia slabs. So now we can put in the final layer of the pumpkin. Well, the orange bit of the pumpkin that is. We're going to need to add a stalk and some more details, and then we'll work on the house. You can see I'm creating these little T shapes on each of the sides so they're centered. And I'm using the orange concrete for this, so it's like that. Now I'm looking from the front here, and I'm going to go to the right hand side and place in some orange wool. I'll do this on each of the faces. And then I'm going to fill in all the other spaces on top of this acacia wood with my concrete powder. Let's have a look at this pumpkin. You can already see it's looking very pumpkin-y. Now we're going to add in a stalk, and for this you'll need oak wood, spruce stairs, slabs, trapdoors, and then some dirt placeholder blocks. I'm going to start by placing my oak wood, and this is the one that has the bark texture on all of the sides in a little plus pattern like this. And then I'm going to build up another 2 on top of here. I'll come to one side. I'm going to go with the right hand side here and place 1 more block in. And now I'm just going to add a little bit of detail by adding a stair here, slab on top of here, a slab back here, and then I'm going to go in with some trapdoors. I've got one here, around this side, some on the back, just like that. All right, I'm going to come around to the front now. And I'm going to use a dirt block to come up on a diagonal over this way. Then I'll use another dirt block to come back on a diagonal. Like that. And we want to add a little more connection, so I'm going to put a slab on top of each of these blocks. And then I'm going to go in with some trapdoors. I'm going to place 1 here, 1 here, and I think I'll have 1 on the back side and here as well. And that's given us a nice pumpkin stalk. Next step for our pumpkin house is the house itself, and I'm going to start with some spruce logs and some bricks. I'm going to come right in underneath the pumpkin here and build out 3 bricks before placing in a spruce log, a brick, and a gap and a brick, and another spruce log, and I'm going to count round in groups of 3 like this. Once you get to here, we're going to come out with 1 brick, and then a spruce log, come over with 3 bricks and a spruce log, 1 brick and a spruce log, and then just connect up with some more bricks. So it should look like that. Now on the front 2 logs, I'm going to build up another 4 high, 1, 2, 3, 4, for a total of 5, and I can do this on this one here as well. Now on this post here, I'm going to build up as high as I can, but I'm going to run into the pumpkin here. As we're building this house, we're just going to have to allow room for this pumpkin to be growing into the house. I'm going to build up this post here to the height of the pumpkin as well, and then these 2 on the side, I'm going to add another 3 blocks on top for a total of 4 blocks. Now we're going to add some cross beams with some spruce, and I'll connect up these sides here. I'll connect up to my pumpkin. And then I'm going to connect these walls here, these 1 block walls. I'm also going to come underneath and place in a dark oak stair. This will just finish off the look from the inside a bit more. I'm going to connect across these points with some pumpkin blocks, and this is going to show through on our wall and tie the build together. Now that we've got some framework in, we can start filling in our walls. For this, I'll be using some stripped oak logs. I'm going to come inside the build first and make sure I'm filling in any holes in the walls that are connecting up to the pumpkin. So I've got those 2 blocks there. Now I'm going to come out, and I'm coming around to the side where we've got our door. I'm going to be changing up the orientation of these oak log blocks as I go to get a nice textured look to the wood. And you can see in here I've also added a pumpkin above the door. Coming round to the front, I'm going to have a 2 high window here, and I'm using white stained glass panes, and then I'll just fill in randomizing my logs once again. Coming round to this side, I'll have another 2 high window. I'll fill in this little wall here. On this little gap, I'm going to have another 2 high window. And you can always take a step back and change up your blocks and the randomized texture as you go to make sure you have a look you're happy with. And then I'll just fill in that gap there. On top of this, we're going to be adding our gables. I'm going to have one here, and I'm going to place in a glass window pane, and then I'm going to build up 2 blocks around this. Like that, and then I'm going to build 2 blocks on top of that. And I'm just placing in a few placeholder blocks so I can get the wood in the direction that I'd like. Coming around to this smaller gable here, I'm just going to create a simple point. Like that. We also need to add in the walls for a little window dormer box we're going to be having above the door. So you want to center yourself above the door here and place in your glass pane, and then place a pumpkin block on top of that, and then a stripped oak log. And then I'm going to build up 2 blocks on either side with some more spruce to create the wall shape for our dormer. We're just about ready to get adding in our roof, but before we do that, let's add a chimney to this right hand side of the build. I'm going to locate myself above this window here, and then on top of these spruce logs, I'm going to place 4 bricks like this. And then I'm going to build up an additional 2 on this block here and here, before I come back 1 towards the center of the roof, and then build up another 3. 1, 2, 3. The reason we're putting on our chimney before we add our roof is our roof is going to connect up to this. I'm going to switch to some brick walls, and I'm going to place in 1 here, 1 here, and then 1 on either of these 2 sides. And then I'll come down the front and place in 2 here and here. The chimney will also make a lot more sense once the roof is in. For the top, I'm going to add in a campfire and then surround it with some spruce trapdoors. There we go, let's get roofing. Let's start on the right hand side of the roof first. I'm going to go to the top of my gable and build out 2 blocks with some spruce logs. And now I'm going to start coming up the side here of the gable. I'll start with some stairs, then place one upside down, planks on top, stairs, upside down, another plank, and then some stairs at the top, like that. And then I'm just going to connect these stairs over to where we've got our small gable here. I'm going to come underneath here to these spruce and build out with some more stairs. And then I'll just zigzag my way up the front of this gable until I reach the center, where I'll build out 2 with some spruce logs. Then I'll come back down the other side. Making sure when you're placing in these stairs that you're filling right into the pumpkin. Now I'm going to start building up the other side of this roof. And what I'm doing here is I'm moving back and forth between the smaller roof and the larger roof to make sure everything connects up nicely. So I'm going to come back to here, then I'll switch to my larger roof and extend along these spruce planks, just till I hit this pumpkin here. And then I'll go in with some more spruce stairs. Finish off the top of this roof, I'm going to go in with some spruce slabs. Then I'll place in a stair and then an upside down stair to create a little point. Working on the larger roof again, I'm just building my way across. And I'm going to extend the planks underneath the chimney here. Now for some more stairs. And I'm just going to come one over the top of these concrete powder here. Now on top of this roof, I'm going to place in a whole row of some spruce planks coming underneath the chimney. And for this, I want to finish on top of this concrete powder here, so it's diagonal to the top of the pumpkin. And here's how it should look so far. I'm going to rotate round to the left-hand side and start working on that now. It starts off very much the same. I'm going to come along this spruce section here and build out one. And then I'll zigzag my way up the gable shape of the roof, meeting at the center. Then I'm going to build across to here, and here's where I'm going to start connecting it up to the gable shape of the dormer window. So I've curved around my stairs, and I'm going to zigzag my way up, place in 2 spruce logs, and come back down, just connecting up to the pumpkin. To finish off the top of this roof, I'm going to add in a stair, and then an upside down stair, and then I just want to connect everything up. Slab here. I'm going to bring these stairs all the way across, keeping in mind that we've got blocks underneath these stairs, and then join across this way. Now in here it's a little bit tricky to see what's going on, but I'm going to be placing in a plank here because we won't have room to rotate our stair round. Here's how the roof should look. To give this larger roof the same turned up appearance that we've got on the smaller 2 sections of the roof, I'm going to place in a stair upside down here. I'm going to place a block on top of that and then a slab. Then I'll place a stair and then 2 more slabs to create the swoop. Before we add in the details, let's go inside the build and make sure we connect our house up to our pumpkin. It's a good time to add in the floor, and for this build I'm going to be using some stripped dark oak logs as they have a nice wide floorboard texture. And I'll just fill in the whole house part of this build. Now to connect your house up to the pumpkin, you can see there is a slice of the pumpkin inside the house. I like the character of leaving this on the inside, but I'm going to break through a doorway here. Now you can see the windows are up on this level, so I like to build a floor at this height. You do lose a little bit of the floor space here, but you could perhaps add some hidden storage if you were building this in survival. Or you could leave this as one big open circular room. I'm going to fill in this section with some dark oak planks. And of course in survival you want to make sure you're lighting this up as you go, or you'll have a lot of mobs in your pumpkin. And as I get nearer to where we're connecting it up to the house, I'm going to decide on my staircase. So I need plenty of headroom, so I think I'll place my first stair here, then come up with my next, and then place 1 more stair in. So I'm going to grab 1 extra orange block out and orange wool just to fill in this gap before I fill in the rest of my floor. There we go, we've got our room prepared for decorating, and it connects up nicely to the house part of the build. Next, for the details, we're going to start by adding in a doorway. Before we add in the door, I'm going to start with some gravel blocks, as I won't be able to place my door in. I won't be able to place these underneath my door. I'm just creating a little walkway area here, keeping the pathway nice and natural. Then I can lead my pathway off to wherever my garden's going to be. Now for the doorway, I'm going to count 2 blocks out and place in a brick wall, and then 1 block across from that, so it should line up with the bricks here and here. I'm going to use a dark oak door, and I'm placing this from the inside. And then I want to create a little canopy. So I'll place a spruce fence on top of each of the walls. I'm going to switch to some campfires and place 3 along the back here. I'm going to use a placeholder block, in this case just a spruce log, to place in 3 upside down spruce stairs. And then I'm going to place 3 spruce trapdoors underneath here. And finally 3 more campfires. And I'm putting these out using a shovel. You can see the lovely canopy this creates. Well, I've also got these spruce logs out. I'm going to add these to each of the posts. I'm not going to come out to the side here, as that's going to obstruct our window, but I will come out to the front side of this area here. I've also grabbed out some more decoration materials, including some coarse dirt to create some planters. I'm going to place 1 underneath each of these posts here, as well as each of the ones at the front, and I'll surround them with some dark oak trapdoors. And I'm going to be planting orange tulips in mine. I have 1 more planter, and I'm going to add that up here and surround it with some more trapdoors and plant myself a tulip. And then I need to create something to go underneath this. I'll be using some oak slabs and stairs, and I want to create a similar design on this side here, except here I'm just going to go straight across with some slabs. We're going to use some fences to add some more detail. I'm adding these on each of the posts, underneath these beams here, and as well as that underneath this pumpkin. Up here I'm going to add 2 lightning rods, making sure I'm placing them so they're facing upwards like that. And this ties in the brick color that we've got going on the bottom of the build, and it works well for this compact space. Lighting is another very important element, and I'm going to be hanging some lanterns from these spruce logs here. You can also hang one underneath your canopy if you'd like. Alright, so I've placed my build in a full landscape, but we have a few more very important details to add to take this build to the next level. I'm going to start by adding a little pot plant to the door here, and next we need to add some all-important window decorations. So for this build, I'm using these banners, which I've made to look like window shutters. If you'd like to see a tutorial on how to make these, make sure you check out the banner tutorial in the description below. I'm just adding these to each of my window locations like that. Now we need to add some leaves, and these are really important in this build. I'm going to have a few of them trailing off the top of the pumpkin, and I'm just going to let them flow naturally down the side of the build. The trick to doing this is to taking a step back and just, playing around with how the leaves go. I think I'm happy with this first strand of leaves. I'm going to come around about 1/3 of the way and add in another one. You need to keep in mind where you've got trapdoors in and just work around that. I think I'll hang this one down not quite as far, perhaps just to here. And then I'm going to have another strand of leaves coming off of this side here. I'll work my way down the back. And I want to have this one hang quite low compared to the other one. Okay, I like that. I might even come down 1 more block. And it's important to look at this placement of leaves from different angles. I'm happy with the way this looks. It's also important for your pumpkin to really look like a pumpkin to add some groupings of leaves underneath the pumpkin itself. So I'm just having these come out from the sides of the pumpkin, and I'm coming up 2 to 3 blocks at a maximum. And you can see once again I'm keeping this very natural. I like to include some diagonals in my leaves, and I like the way this looks. I'm Gonna have some more around this side of the pumpkin as well. I think I'll fill in from this corner here outwards for this next grouping. Like that, just a little one. And then I'm gonna have one on the back as well. It's up to you how many leaves you add, but I like to stick to groups of 3 or 5. Few more leaves coming off of the back here. And I think that looks pretty good. To tie in the leaves we've got on the pumpkin now, I'm going to have some leaves draping over the roof. A nice place to drape some leaves is around the chimney. So I'm going to have some coming down this side as well as coming down this other side. I'm going to have some coming in between the join in this roof. Just coming down that far like that. And I'm taking a step back now and realizing that this is symmetrical, so I'm going to switch that up by poofing out the leaves this way. And that means I can hang this side down just a little further, which looks nice. I'm going to come round to the left hand side of the build here, and I'm going to drape some over the top of this little dormer window, coming all the way down and even in front of the build a little bit here. And I think I'm pretty happy with where I've got leaves now. There's a nice distribution. We've got the bushes coming up around the pumpkin, some draping down from the top of the pumpkin, and some draping down around the house. I could even add just a little bush here if I wanted to, and then I think I will. I think that looks really cute. I hope you enjoyed building this pumpkin cottage. If you did, please consider subscribing and giving the video a like. It really helps me out. And check out my Patreon if you'd like to support me more. See you in another video.